Why, hello, you beautiful beatnik. Thank you for joining me today on this crazy adventure. Today, we're going to be talking about something super fun, and I really enjoy this movie. It is called Tick, Tick, Boom. It is directed by Lin Manuel Miranda. As most of you know, if you've seen this, you probably know that. So, I want to talk first about Jonathan Larson. He is who this movie is about. So, first of all, he died like super young. He died when he was only 35 of some sort of heart condition. They think it could have been an undiagnosed form of syndrome, but he died of heart complications. So that's super, super sad. His first um, his first great love as opposed to like when it comes to theater was this musical called Superbia, and it was lauded by Stephen Sondheim in the film, as you will see. And so a lot of the things that he talked about were really cool, like not really cool social issues, but social issues that we weren't accustomed to seeing on screen. Um, so I think that was a super important thing that Hollywood and the theater needed, especially at that time. So he's most famous for Rent. So if you didn't know that, or if you haven't seen the show, it's about a lot of different things, but it talks about AIDS, it talks about poverty, it talks about a lot of problems in the city. Like he was, I don't know that he was actually from New York City, but he lived there and he called that place home. So that is a really cool thing about Jonathan Larson. So I love learning about um, learning about playwrights. I love learning about creatives. I love learning about different people that I haven't heard of necessarily before. Like, for example, I had obviously heard of Rent, and I was in theater like all through high school, and I did some theater outside of high school as well. But mostly my theater experience was in like my primary sort of education. My first play was actually when I was in 5th grade. I was the only 5th grader that got cast, and I was super excited because I got to play a cheerleader, and all the other members were like 8th graders or and I just remember being super, super excited. I don't remember the name of the play, unfortunately. I know it was about Newt Rockney, but I don't know anything beyond that. But like I said, I continued with theater, and I love learning about people and different situations and their creative processes and how um, it affects them personally, because I am an artist too, so I really identify with that portion of it. So that really brought me into the film. So Jonathan Larson's story. Um, yeah, so I really, really love that. Let's talk about the movie. And Andrew Garfield is the star of this. It was written, like I said, by written and directed, which is his directorial debut for a narrative feature. Um, is Lin Manuel Miranda. So that's super cool. Like, congratulations on that. It's so hard to get a movie made, and he's done lots of um, he's done lots of cool um, contributions, and of course he's became famous and very like a household name through Hamilton, which is just incredible. It's just an incredible take on a musical. The music itself is inventive and beautiful, and it's full of life, and I really, really enjoyed that. And most recently, he contributed to the music in Encanto, which is the story of, I believe it's Colombian. It's never really said, but it looks like that kind of has that kind of feel. I know it's not a Mexican story, and it doesn't seem to fit any other places, but it feels like it's a Colombian household. I'm not sure. So don't kill me if I'm wrong on this. But the film itself, I loved it. It was beautiful. There's lots of really fun characters. But he wrote the music for that, which was great. Um, And so congratulations, Lin Manuel Miranda, if you do watch this, on your narrative debut, I guess you could say. Andrew Garfield, like I was saying, is the star of this. And let me just say, what a freaking marvel. You see what I did there? Like a marvel? Like a marvel? Yeah? Uh-huh. Okay. I guess I'm alone on that one. Oh well, I'll just move on. Totally fine. So it also stars Alexandra Shipp, Robin de Jesus, and they have tons and tons of cameos throughout the entire thing. I don't know if you're like me and are an 80s baby, and you see Judith Light, and she played the mom on oh shoot, what is it? Not Facts of Life, not Family Matters. Yeah, one of those shows. Oh, Pope Sickles. I don't remember what it is. I could look it up. Anyhow, it's Judith Light, and she was fabulous as the manager, the agent, in that, and she's very straightforward. She tells it just like it is, and one of my favorite lines out of the whole film was actually delivered by her, and she's giving advice to Andrew's character, Jonathan, and she tells him, he's like, "Well, what do I do next?" And she says, "You move on to the next one." And that resonated so deeply with me as an artist because you're constantly and inevitably being told no, because you're not going to please everybody, and two, you're you need to be creating all of the time, and you're only as good as your next project. And that unfortunately is kind of a byproduct of the entertainment industry. And Jonathan Larson obviously ended on a great note, which he didn't get to see, by creating Rent. It ran on Broadway for like 12 years. So that's incredible in and of itself. Andrew Garfield's performance was so nuanced and so beautiful, and I never once thought that he was not American, that he was not um, from New York, that he was not experiencing those things. It was just so beautiful and so nuanced that it made me really empathize and feel for his character. And the same goes for the actress Alexandra Shipp, who played Susan. She was just so incredible, and she has this softness and this vulnerability to her that makes you want to just listen to everything that comes out of her mouth. And it was just really, really beautiful. And Robin de Jesus, he played his best friend, Michael, and Michael has some unfortunate news, like in within that storyline. So there's kind of a surprise there, which I won't give it away. But and his performance, once again, it's just so nuanced and so subtle. And I think part of this is obviously to the actors being so incredible, but it's also due credit needs to be given to the director as well, Lin Manuel, because directing people in those ways, so they're not choosing to do the bigger, more pronounced way of emoting, because that does happen quite often. But if and directors can take, sorry, actors can take it a little bit too far if the director gives them that freedom. But also knowing his work is just, and Andrew's work before, I've seen him in several other like independent films and stuff, and his work is always just so great. Um, Bradley Whitford also played, he did like it was, I don't know if it would be a cameo performance, but he had a smaller role, and you'll recognize him. He's done tons and tons of stuff, but he played Sondheim, and so his word is like just gold because he's created, and he had his first musical at like 27, and he plays this very, very iconic person, um, which Jonathan Larson wanted to and did in some ways emulate. Didn't tell like the same kind of stories and stuff, but what I loved also is that all of the other cameos in there, like I saw Bernadette Peters, I saw Lin Manuel Miranda himself. He was a cook in one the Moonlight diner scene. That was really fun. And then I saw Bernadette Peters. I saw Philippa Sue. She was also in it. Who else did I see? Gosh, um, I don't remember. But I did love MJ Rodriguez's performance in this as well. And I also have to mention the fact that she is a trans woman actor, and it is never once mentioned in the film. And I thought that was freaking awesome because we don't need to mention stuff like that. Like it's not important. She doesn't have to play a trans woman. She can just play a woman character and it's totally fine. And that's one thing that I really loved about this. Like, thank you for not doing that, Lin Manuel, because that was incredible. Also, may I think about like what else is incredible about this movie? The transitions. I love how the transitions flowed from one scene to the next, especially because they do a lot of intercutting between the writing process versus like what's happening in real life and vice versa, and just going like sheer sheer, and the transitions and the editing was impeccable. It's so so good. um Also, you have Vanessa Hudgens is in it, and Joshua Henry. They play the people that are performing in the piece, and you'll see them throughout it. And one of my favorite like numbers, Vanessa Hudgens' face is so emotive, and it's so freaking adorable. It just like it's so so cute. I love it. So with her, one of my favorite pieces, she does this kind of. It was kind of reminiscent a little bit of Chicago and the marionette piece. So I loved it, and I loved how like bright and open and her eyes were, and Andrew Garfield were playing. They were playing off each other so so beautifully. I just loved it so so much. I am kind of partial myself to musicals in general. I grew up in the theater, so I have this beautiful reminiscent kind of feelings when it comes to that. And there was this party scene in the movie, and it reminded me of when I we used to do theater and how close knit those groups are, and how artistic and creative and lovely these people are. I mean, it reminds me of when I've done obviously theater, but also when I have been doing a longer term um, film, so like a narrative feature as well, because you get to spend a lot more time and you really become very close knit because you're spending a lot of time together. You're working 8 at the very least to 16 hours a day if it's an indie kind of thing. And because you're spending so much time together, you know who these people are in a very short amount of time. You know what makes them tick, you know what makes them mad, you know what makes them happy. You're like, "Oh, I know that they love those little Dove chocolates that they bring at Crafty, so let me just bring one to them when they're having a bad time." And stuff like that. So my point is with this party and the familial nature of it, um, is that I love when creatives get together, and oh gosh, I didn't realize how much I miss being in situations like that where like someone brings out the guitar and there's just like weirdly spontaneous singing, or whatever. I just I really miss that. And I can't wait to do my next feature. Hopefully, this COVID crap is going to be gone shortly. Like, it's just been such a disaster for so many people's lives and in our business and just in general. It's just wah, wah. But we don't have to talk about that. Let me see. What else do we have? I don't have a ton of other observations about the film itself. It feels like pretty straightforward. Um, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a slow burn, but I would say that you probably have to be invested into the theater lifestyle or wanting to learn about people like that in order to love it. And it does have a lot of musical numbers. So if you're not into musical numbers, definitely don't watch it. And it has that distinctive feel um, of Lin Manuel Miranda. Like his style is so evocative and it's new and it's innovative. So I think knowing all of those things coming into it and watching the film will be great. So it looks like I'm pretty much done talking about it, and I don't have anyone online with me. So no interaction like with anyone. So I don't know what to say about that. So I think you're amazing, all of you. Thank you for watching this when you do. And be beautiful and be lovely to one another and be kind and um, just be you, you beautiful, beautiful beatniks. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Now I got